2025 has been a huge year for gravel. We've seen tyre widths grow, the emergence of distinct race bikes incorporating aerodynamics alongside more evolved geometry. The range of bikes is widening too. The adventurous bikepacking machines sitting alongside trail-capable full suspension options, and there's lightweight aero bikes that wouldn't look out of place on the road if it weren't for their big volume treaded rubber. I've been impressed with so many bikes, from Rondo with their radical looking Route, Willier's slick and speedy Rave SLR ID2, Cannondale's evolution of its Topstone, and the Super X. Plus, we still have great old favourites like Santa Cruz's Stigmata, Lauf's Segler, and Giant's Revolt and the Revolt X. But two bikes have stood head and shoulders above the rest I've tested throughout 2025. Both bring progressive geometry, giving them the handling chops to handle technical trails. Both are built light, yet offer big 50mm tyre clearances, and both have nods towards aerodynamics alongside their go-anywhere outlook. The two bikes I've chosen for 2025's Gravel Bike of the Year head-to-head shootout are Mondraker's Arid Carbon RR and Parlee's Taos. With the Arid, the designers at Mondraker have built a bike to master the challenges of an arid terrain. That means it's rocky, loose and rutted, a bike that can stay on track and get grip where traction can be an absolute minimum. The Arid frame's construction is all about off-road. That means stiffness at the bottom bracket and at the head tube, and that unique back end where you've got this spar-like triangulated seat stay to seat tube junction. It's all about compliance. That's enhanced by the carbon layup under the skin. Mondraker have also fully routed the hoses internally, keeping them out of the way of bags and snags and adding to its aero efficiency. There's clearance for 50mm tyres, top tube mounts, 3 bottle mounts, triple fork mounts, and down tube storage, which just makes it so bikepacking friendly. And with that UDH rear dropout and derailleur hanger, that future-proofs the frame. Finishing things off is a threaded T47 bottom bracket, though the Arid, unlike the Parlee Taos, is designed for one-by drivetrains only. Parlee, the Massachusetts-based carbon bike builders, has a decade of experience building gravel bikes, since the original gravel-stroke all-roader, Chewbacca. Compared to its predecessor, the frame is longer with this massively sloping top tube. It's got a slacker head angle, 50mm tyre clearances, and a torsionally stiffer frame construction. Yet it has more compliance. Parlee claims that this makes the Taos their fastest yet most forgiving gravel bike to date. The frame has been configured with a monocoque construction. This uses a blend of unidirectional carbon fibres to create a meticulously crafted frame. And it has a weight claimed to be under 980 grams for a size 56. Parlee has chosen to leave this frame set in its raw carbon finish with just a coating of wax. So no worries when it comes to chips and scratches to the paintwork. Simply buff and then re-wax and it'll look as good as new. Like the Arid, the Taos gets down tube storage, a UDH rear dropout and a T47 threaded bottom bracket. It's also suspension corrected, as is the Arid. The difference with the Taos is it does have 2-by compatibility, and it's got a fork with a flip chip dropout, enabling you to steepen the head angle and shorten the trail, making the Taos more road friendly than just pure gravel. Before we go any further, I'm going to take a minute to tell you about Auto Trail and the Expedition 68, a purpose-built camper van for cyclists. This year's Bike of the Year couldn't have been possible without the support of Auto Trail, the UK's leading motorhome and camper van manufacturer. Auto Trail has more than 40 years of experience, pushing boundaries, embracing cutting-edge technologies, and designing solutions to enhance the van life experience. And the good news for you as a rider? Auto Trail's Expedition 68 range is designed with gravel riders in mind. The range includes 3 models, all with an integrated bike garage and pull-out bike trays. It's a no-compromise camper van for cyclists who want to head out onto the open road to explore new terrain and with convenience and comfort. With a 140 brake horsepower engine as standard, 200-watt solar panels, a 75 amp-hour leisure battery and a pop-top roof option, the Expedition 68 is designed to unleash your sense of adventure. Head to autotrail.co.uk for more information or click the link in the description. Thanks again to Auto Trail for sponsoring this year's Bike of the Year test. Now, back to the video. Even though our two finalists are pitched somewhat differently, they have a lot in common when it comes to the geometry. The Mondraker Arid's inspiration comes from their mountain bike forward geometry, which means a very long reach of 423mm. Parlee, with the Taos, has chosen to go a little shorter at 417. Compare that to a classic racy gravel bike like Giant's Revolt in the same size, and it's much, much longer than that bike's 393mm. The Mondraker is designed to be used with an 80mm stem and the Parlee with a 90mm, which means the on-bike riding reach is drawn closer by just 4mm between them. When it comes to stack, our two contenders have a little bit more difference. The Arid is lower at 613 and the Taos at 620. The front ends are completed with both bikes having slacker head angles to cope with rough surfaces. The Arid comes with a 70-degree angle and the Taos takes things a little further at 69.5. These both inform the trail of the fork, which has a bearing on the steering responses. The Mondraker, with its 45mm fork offset running a 45mm tyre, gives a long 83mm trail. The Parlee, because of the flip chip, can be run with the same 45mm offset or 51mm. That means a trail of 85mm or 81mm, sitting either side of the Arid. When it comes to geometry, there really isn't much to choose between them. Only Parlee's flip chip gives the opportunity to roadify the ride a little. That's if you switch to narrower tyres and on a shorter offset. Both bikes are nominally built around SRAM's Force Axis Explore group set, though Parlee has chosen to go down the mullet route, combining its force shifters and chainset with an EXO Eagle Axis transmission derailleur and cassette. That means the Arid gets a standard and broad 10-44 cassette and a 40-tooth chainring. The Taos, meanwhile, gets a very wide 10-52 cassette paired with a larger 42-tooth chainring. Now, because of the timing of SRAM's new Force Explore, which came out after I'd received both of these bikes, these test models are running the previous D2 generation of Force. Both Mondraker and Parlee assure us that both bikes will now feature the new E1 Force Axis and Force Explore axis. That means it will feature the updated shifter shape, the new chain set, and in the case of the Arid, the new rear derailleur and cassette too. Now when it comes to rolling stock, Mondraker has gone with a classic gravel approach with Mavic's low profile 1,521 gram All-Road Pro carbon SL wheels. Parlee, however, has gone down the wide deep aero route by using Zip's 303 Explore S. These 54mm deep aero wheels have a very wide 32mm internal width and come with the Goodyear Zip collaboration gravel tyres in a 45mm width. Now these come up closer to 48mm on the wide Zip rim at my preferred tyre pressures. Mondraker has used Maxxis Riva tyres in the same 45mm width, though on the Mavics, these come up a little narrower than the Zips, as the All-Road has just a 25mm internal measurement. Parlee has used FSA's well-shaped K-Force AGX carbon bar, paired with FSA's SMR2 stem. The stem is 90mm and the bar is 42cm wide, though with a 25-degree flare, that pushes the bar out to a very wide 46cm at the drop. Now the bar has a subtle rise from the stem too, adding to the Taos' slightly more upright position. Mondraker has used their own brand on-off components with a semi-integrated 80mm stem and the on-off S9 GR carbon bar. The bar has a good 16-degree flare and a nice compact drop. The tops are flattened into an aero profile, and with a width of 46cm on my large test bike, they thankfully haven't been tempted down the narrow bar trend. Both use their own branded carbon seat posts, and while the Mondraker has opted for an old favourite with Physique's Terra Argo X5 saddle, Parlee has the rarely seen Ergon SR All-Road Core Pro carbon saddle. For the Parlee, that means a complete weight of 8.82 kilos, and the Mondraker is a little more at 9.09 kilos. With the Mondraker Arid's low and slack angled and long reach design, on paper it looks like a bike that wouldn't be great for the road. Now, thankfully my initial reservations about its on-road performance are mostly unfounded. Whilst it's no race bike on tarmac, it's capable of being hustled along at a decent enough pace. Yeah, it does take a little bit more effort to get the Arid to behave through fast road corners. That slack head angle, fat tyres and lower front end lead to a little bit of understeer. It also gives the feeling of needing a little more effort to maintain speed. I've experienced far less capable rowdy gravel bikes on the road, however. Where the relaxed geometry pays dividends, aside from on technical descents, is on low traction steep climbs. The long fork and relaxed head angle mean the front tyre tracks and it isn't unsettled by ruts and lumps. It's a great climbing companion when it comes to dirt, especially tight single track uphill trails. The Mavic wheels ride with a lightness and zip, which is enhanced by the excellent Maxxis Riva tyres, which have fast become a favourite of mine for dry summer gravel riding. The Mondraker can't quite hold the pace of the Parlee Taos on smoother gravel and tarmac. Once you get into the wild, the Arid Carbon RR shows its capability and its appetite for challenging technical terrain. On my favourite gravel test route, there's plenty of single track through the woods that starts out straight and fast but quickly transitions into a tight twisty descent with lots of natural sweeping turns. Both bikes impressed me here, but it was the Arid that had the edge. It felt that bit tamer when it came to tight turns, drops and lots of rooty off-camber sections. Now the Taos flowed beautifully through the twists and turns, but it just took a little bit more of my attention when it came to some of the steeper sections and the tighter, narrower turns. I'd like to try out both bikes with a dropper post just to add that little bit more maneuverability when it comes to steeper drops. Now, the lower bottom bracket than a mountain bike gives both bikes stability on gravel roads, but it can be an issue on more technical terrain. I did manage to strike a pedal on a large route aboard the Arid when pedaling through a particularly rooty, rocky section of single track. Now, the Arid's bottom bracket at 269 millimeters is only a couple of millimeters lower than the Taos is, so you'll definitely need to be aware that this could be an issue when riding on rougher terrain for both. Now on a mountain bike, you'll find a bottom bracket height more commonly around 40 millimeters higher at 310 millimeters plus. Now I won't hold this against the Arid or the Taos. The fact that I felt confident enough to take both onto pure mountain bike trails pays testament to just how good the handling is on both bikes. Overall, the Taos is close to matching the Arid's performance on technical terrain, though it just loses out as it takes a little more hustling into single track corners at speed because of its marginally taller front end. The frame and fork do have ample compliance that rolls over hardened tractor tracks and water bar ruts with a smoothness that on lesser bikes just erodes your energy and slows you down. Parlee's mullet approach to gearing choice suits the Taos too, with a very wide gearing giving a bottom end that's the equivalent of a road bike's 50/12. In simple terms, it's a low enough gear to help keep pace with road bike riding buddies on tarmac. Now the lightest gear of 24 inches is an inch lighter than the Mondraker 2. Not that on either bike you're ever going to struggle to find a gear to get up the steepest off-road ramps. The Taos and Arid are so close when it comes to getting way off-road that it really would only come down to personal preference on bar height. Now where the difference is more marked is when it comes to everywhere else. The Taos on smoother gravel roads, double track and tarmac just feels quick, much more so than the Arid. Now, it's not up with the most aero of gravel bikes such as Wheelier's Rave SLR RD2 or Cervelo's Aspero 5 when it comes to tarmac. It is, however, the far superior all-rounder. It's worth noting that both the Arid and the Taos will be improved and lightened with the switch to new forks, lighter component weights, better ergonomics and better braking. And the winner is the Parlee Taos. Now the Taos isn't a gravel bike you can easily pigeonhole, and that's a good thing. It's light and agile enough to race, yet it's stable and comfortable and smooth enough for bikepacking. With versatility at its core and a flip chip in the fork, I could see myself using the Taos as both a gravel bike and even an endurance bike. It won't disappoint in either trim. The Mondraker Arid is very, very close to the Parlee, and with the Arid, I'm happy to pay a small penalty for efficiency on smooth gravel and tarmac when it comes to just how good it is on challenging and more exciting technical rides. It's simply one of the most capable gravel bikes I've ever tested. It's a more focused off-roader than the Taos. It's more guided towards the technical off-road, even though the geometry is very similar. The Arid's longer and lower ride position makes for a bike that's much more at home where gravel bikes shouldn't be. The Parlee, however, just nudges out the Mondraker by being more of an all-rounder, a more versatile proposition, even if it is more expensive. Now, it is expensive, and yes, that could be an issue, but I truly think with the Taos, you're getting what you pay for, and that's one of the most capable and versatile gravel bikes of 2025. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think of these bikes, and if you want to watch more, there's plenty more here.